In the heart of the unforgiving desert, a new monument to fortune rises from the sand. The Oasis Grand, more than just a casino. It's a fortress of pleasure, a billion-dollar palace designed to be impenetrable. Its architect, a man named Silas, was hailed as a visionary. His creation was a masterpiece of modern engineering and security. But what no one knew, what no one could even fathom, was that the master architect was also its master thief. For every security measure he designed, he embedded a ghost, a whisper of a flaw known only to him. Years of meticulous planning boiled down to this one night. Silas wasn't a gambler in the traditional sense. He didn't play cards or bet on roulette. He played with systems, with expectations, with the very fabric of security. His game was far more complex and the stakes were infinitely higher. As the golden hour sun cast long shadows across the dunes, painting the casino's glass facade in hues of orange and gold, Silas made his final preparations. He wasn't in a back room or a hidden tunnel. He was right there on the casino floor, a ghost in plain sight, just another face in the vibrant, pulsating crowd. The casino was alive. The air crackled with energy, a symphony of spinning wheels, shuffling cards, and jubilant cries. Thousands of cameras watched every corner, every table, every transaction. A state-of-the-art security hub, manned by the best in the business, monitored a seemingly endless wall of screens. They saw everything, yet they saw nothing. They were looking for men with masks, for brute force, for the obvious tells of a heist. They weren't looking for the architect, the one man who knew the building's soul better than they did. Silas moved with a practiced calm, his heart a steady drum against the chaotic rhythm of the casino. His eyes, sharp and focused, reflected the dazzling neon lights. He wasn't just observing. He was conducting. Every step was calculated, every glance was a confirmation. He saw the patterns he had designed, the flow of people moving through the spaces he had envisioned. It was all a grand stage, and the final act was about to begin. He took a seat at a quiet bar, ordering a simple glass of water, his presence unremarkable. On his wrist, a bespoke smartwatch displayed not the time, but a silent, descending countdown. This wasn't a plan born of greed alone. It was about artistry, about proving a point. In a world that celebrated impenetrable systems, he wanted to show that the most brilliant designs always have a human element, a single point of failure. And he was that point. He had spent years simulating this night, running through every possible variable, every contingency. The security team was good, but they were playing by a rulebook he himself had written. They were defending a fortress, unaware that the key to the kingdom was already inside. The countdown on his watch continued its silent descent. 3 minutes. The moment was approaching. The casino's digital nervous system was a marvel. Miles of fiber optic cables ran beneath the plush carpets, carrying terabytes of data every second. Every single chip, every transaction, every spin of the wheel was digitally tracked and logged in a fortified server farm, deep in the building's core. This digital vault was considered even more secure than the physical one. It was protected by layers of firewalls, encryption, and biometric scanners. It was designed to be untouchable. But Silas knew its secret language. He had built a backdoor, not of code, but of physics. A specific sequence of events, a cascade of minor, seemingly unrelated system requests, would trigger a unique resonance frequency. It was a digital lockpick forged from engineering, not hacking. As he watched the clock, he subtly used a custom app on his phone, interacting with the casino's guest network, placing a specific food order, adjusting the climate control in a VIP suite he wasn't in, making a reservation for a show. Each action was a note in a complex chord, 1 minute. He stood up, leaving his water untouched, and began a slow, deliberate walk. He wasn't heading for an exit. He was moving towards the heart of the operation, a nondescript maintenance corridor just off the main gaming floor. His path was precise, timed to the second, with the patrol routes of the security guards, routes he himself had laid out in the original blueprints. He slipped through a door marked Authorized Personnel Only, with a keycard that looked like any other guest desk room key. It wasn't, it was the master key, a ghost card he had programmed years ago. Inside, the cacophony of the casino faded, replaced by the low hum of machinery. He navigated the labyrinthine corridors with an unnerving familiarity, his footsteps echoing softly. He arrived at his destination, the main server room. It was a cold, blue-lit chamber, the brain of the entire Oasis Grand. Racks of servers blinked in unison, processing the fortunes of thousands. Access required a handprint and a retinal scan. The security team saw it as the final, unbreakable barrier. Silas approached the panel. He placed his hand on the scanner. It flashed red. Access denied. He looked into the retinal scanner. Red again. Access denied. A silent alarm would have tripped in the security hub, but Silas had accounted for this. For the next 90 seconds, the log for this specific door would be frozen, reporting no activity. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, custom-built device. It wasn't a jammer or a spoofer. It was a harmonic resonator. He placed it on the wall next to the server racks. With a final glance at his watch, now at 10 seconds, he pressed the button. The device emitted an inaudible pulse. This was the final note in his symphony. The sequence of digital requests he had made earlier, combined with this specific frequency, created a unique system-wide vulnerability. It was the flaw he had woven into the very fabric of the building's design. The countdown hit 0. And the world went dark, a total, instantaneous blackout. Every light, every screen, every slot machine on the gaming floor died. For a moment, there was a stunned silence, followed by a wave of confusion and nervous laughter. The backup generators were designed to kick in within 5 seconds. But they didn't. This wasn't a simple power failure. Silas's pulse had triggered a system-wide reboot, but with a single malicious line of code injected during the shutdown sequence. In the security hub, panic erupted. Screens were black. Comms were down. They were blind. For 90 critical seconds, the fortress had no eyes, no ears, no brain. And in that sliver of time, the silent heist took place. Deep within the rebooting servers, the malicious code executed its one and only function. It didn't steal from the vault. It didn't hack player accounts. It targeted the digital float, the vast multi-million-dollar pool of electronic funds that circulates within the casino's closed network before being settled. The code rerouted a fraction of a percentage from tens of thousands of digital transactions, amounts so small they would never be noticed, consolidating them into a single, untraceable cryptocurrency wallet. The rerouting was silent, instantaneous, and traceless. It happened in the digital darkness, a ghost transaction in a ghost system. At the 91st second, the lights flickered back on. The backup generators roared to life. The slot machines chimed, the screens rebooted, and the hum of the casino returned. In the security hub, systems came back online. They ran diagnostics. Everything was green. The log showed a freak, system-wide power surge. An anomaly, but nothing seemed to be missing. No alarms were tripped, no doors were breached. The hand scanner outside the server room showed no failed attempts. Silas was already gone. He had slipped back into the maintenance corridors during the blackout, emerging on a different floor, just another guest startled by the sudden outage. He calmly walked towards the valet, his face a mask of casual indifference. By the time the security team had finished their preliminary checks and declared a false alarm, a simple technical glitch, Silas was miles away, driving into the desert as the first light of dawn broke across the horizon. The sun rose on the Oasis Grand, illuminating its flawless facade. From the outside, it was perfect, untouched. The guests would talk about the 90-second blackout for a week, a minor thrill in their desert adventure. The casino management would commission a report on the power surge, replace a few relays, and tighten protocols. They would never find the missing money because they would never know to look for it. It hadn't been stolen from a vault or a player. It had vanished from the space in between, a digital sleight of hand performed by the one man who knew how. The architect had built a masterpiece, and then he had signed his name. Not with ink, but with a 90-second heist that was, in itself, a work of art. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.